Hey everyone, we are live tonight here on Horror Hangouts. This is Josh. How is how is everyone doing out there right now? Looks like I have one person watching who's out there right now. Okay. Gabriel's out there. Hello, Gabriel. How are you doing this evening? Supposed to have a guest on this evening, but so far she has not shown yet. So, I guess I'm gonna have to run this solo for tonight anyway. So, anyhow, I don't know if anyone here watching, and first of all, if you are watching, please go ahead and hit that like button. That'll help with the algorithm. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. Um, but anyhow, I don't know how many people have seen Stream yet. I know that all the rave right now has been Terrifier 3. But I finally got this chance to see that as it was finally available on Amazon, and I really liked it. I kind of want to watch it a second time so I get a little bit better of opinion on it. But I would certainly give that one an prize right now an 8 out of 10. It pretty much delivered on everything I wanted. I thought um, on that, I thought well certainly probably the ones that stands out. I mean, Daniel Harris was pretty good in that, as always, and Jeffrey Combs was great as pretty much the main villain, and he's pretty much unapologetic on what he does. But one of the standouts, um, and of course, yeah, this killer brother. You have basically four killers going around this hotel. For those who don't know, that it's kind of like a contest who can get the most creative kills, and one of them, of course, is David Howard Thornton, aka Art the Clown, and of course, different character, but same mannerisms and the same comical mannerisms when he's killing people. And he has like a sidekick. I think it's supposed to be like the character's sister that's going around. It almost feels like a Joker Harley Quinn type of dynamic there, but that was certainly very good. And now I'm gonna like blank on this one actor's name. But he played Grandpa in the Rob Zombie's Monsters movies, and now for the life of me, I can't think of his name. It'll come to me, but he was great. He was really funny in this one. The couple scenes that he had. Um, you know what? Let me just look that up. Oh, Daniel Roebuck. That's who it was. Daniel Roebuck. He was great in it. Tony Todd does. There's a lot of cameos. Like Dee Wallace has a small part in the early part of the movie. We see Tony Todd towards the end as well. And then one thing I will say, if you watch Stream, stay for the entire credits, because about midway through the ending credits, we get a scene, and that's going to be the scene with Tim Curry and Bill Moseley in it, which is a very entertaining scene. You can't really see Tim Curry, but you know it's him. So looks like I have another viewer out there. Who's out there right now? Wondering if they'll make themselves known or stay silent or not. Either way, how are you doing? And make sure to hit that like button when you get a chance. Yeah, they did. Good for them. But anyhow, so yeah, so stream was pretty good. Of course, my sister from another mother and another father, Berber Ann. How you doing tonight? Probably just got off of work, I bet. I was just talking about the movie Stream that I finally got to see earlier this week. But which was pretty good. The kills were pretty good. I mean, there's a few like kills, and you get this that were pretty basic and standard, but there were some really creative kills. The best one is what I call the tic tac toe kill, and when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that was a good one. Um, yeah, there's one character. It looked like they were literally going to cut this one character's head clean off with a like maybe a machete or a big knife. I won't say who because I don't want to give out too much for that movie. Well, we have a third one in here. Who knew? Um, but anyhow, I was supposed to have a guest on, but she has not shown up, so I don't know. I need to check my messages. Uh-huh. She's trying to get in. Um, hold on one second here. I think my guest is about ready to show up here, so I'm going to give her. Um, Anyhow, hopefully it'll be joining soon. Love this. Good. Glad I made. Oh, love this. Well, I'm glad you do. You're the only one that does love this shit. So, but I have not seen Terrifier 3 yet. I don't know. I'm hearing, by and large, I'm hearing mostly good stuff about it. So, which I guess if you're a fan of those movies anyway, you're probably going to like the third one. I mean, it's hard to kind of fuck up that formula, basically, bunch of gruesome kills done, some of which done in a humorous manner. I hear it gets even more humorous, so I don't know if that's good. If it's almost like the Freddy Krueger thing when Freddy became too much of a comedian in the later sequels. If that's when it kind of like went downhill. So hopefully they don't do that too much. Looks like we are being joined here. Let me add her on. Hey, and look who joined us, Brandi. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So
Good.
everyone, this is, I hope I don't butcher your last name, Brandi Hancock, right?
It
Oh,
is, yeah.
good, got that correct. Awesome. So for those who don't know, and for the one person that's watching right now, uh, don't worry, there'll be others. Hopefully, watch later because you know it'll stay on YouTube forever. So until I more or less I delete it. Um, so you're into like photography and more specific horror photography. So what got you into photography in the first place?
Well, I wanted to do this goes back years. I wanted to do pictures, but I wanted to do out of the box type of picture photography.
Mhm.
And I've done family portraits and I've done weddings, but when the first time I ever done it was a Halloween shoot, it was instant love. I'm like, okay, there's my niche where I want to go down the road to follow is doing nothing but just the horror photography. So it stuck.
Well,
It
look,
stuck.
yeah, and so yeah, and I was kind of leading my another question is what made you go towards being like a horror genre specific, but you kind of
Mhm.
answered that. So were you a horror fan first, then became a photographer? Is
Oh
that kind of how
yeah.
it's? Yeah,
Yes, oh gosh, I've loved horror way back when I was little. Since I was little.
same here. I was like 5 when I think I watched my first horror movie. So,
See, exactly. And I know with the pictures I like doing, I try to get it just as realistic as possible because I grew up with all the horror movies, that's what I grew up
hmm
on. And I had a lot of opportunities to do some of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Freddy Krueger. And I wanted to be as real like you would see it coming from a movie and not just some cheesy pictures. So that
well,
was my goal.
and let's show some of those pictures that you've taken here. I'm gonna add this on here. There we go. So we've got this one here. Now, what would this one be? Well, here, let me go back to slide one here. There we go. This one I really like here. Um, so who's do you get like certain people to like or is this you or do you find certain people to kind of model for you?
That one was actually my first dipping my toes into doing pictures, trying to just play around with pictures. So that's actually my niece. And
Okay.
she was all about it. She thought that was the best, the fun, it was like, so she loved playing dress up in her words, but she was very cooperative. She did so good on those pictures. So that was actually one of my first pictures I did doing my photography.
Excellent. So we'll look at this next one, and of course, it's kind of a really big close-up one. Maybe I didn't take the right image when I was putting this in the PowerPoint, but is that I could assume maybe Leatherface, maybe?
That is one of my buddies. His character's name is Bob,
Hmm.
and they're actually he's a local haunt actor out here where we live. And so that was his character. They wanted me to come out and do a bunch of pictures of all their characters. So that was his character. And I really wanted a close up of his face with the fake blood coming down on his mask. So that's Bob.
Well, it's a good thing you got like a bunch of people volunteering for this one there. I had done
Mhm.
for a promo for my book, I had like dressed up like kind of like a vampire. It's a vampire book, and I was a
Yeah.
picture on whatever on Slasher with it. They're trying to drum up sales. It didn't work. I didn't sell a single book after doing that. But anyhow, but I needed a professional photographer is what I needed. So, but here's the next one there.
Yes, this is actually another haunt actor I took just here recently, and they're from is their haunt is called County Road Haunt. It's in Stevenson, Alabama, and it's so funny. I love doing the pictures, but on this particular shoot, I had to actually go through their haunted attraction, and I don't like the chainsaw scare when they chase you with chainsaws, and unfortunately they got me with a chainsaw.
Oh,
but it was fun. So this is where this guy come from. He's one of the haunt actors. They wanted me to come out, and actually they asked me to be their photographer permanently. So I was very fortunate for that.
actually, because I'm gonna say that the pictures don't look like just some random picture that you might take with your phone or whatever. So it looks like you're using some pretty. I mean, do you have like specific equipment that you're using when you take these pictures?
Yeah, well, um, I use Lightroom. I,
Hmm.
I love Lightroom, so that's what a lot of my editing where it comes from is Lightroom. Mhm.
Excellent. So let's look at the next one here. Ah, now this one I know that's well, someone that's basically a Captain Spaulding image there.
Yes.
I do like that one.
That was a fun shoot. He's one of my other buddies. And he dresses up a lot as Captain Spaulding. He goes to Dragon Con every year
Mhm.
pretty much. And he made a fantastic Captain Spaulding. And I told him before we did this shoot, I was like, because I seen one of his pictures, I said, I've never done a Captain Spaulding shoot. How awesome would that be? And he nailed that shoot. Like he knew exactly what he was doing. So, and that always helps when the models they know the character, what they're doing. So I was like,
Mhm.
it was awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty fun character to play.
He done so good.
Now this was a good one. I like here this one of Jason. Now, how did you create this particular photo?
I believe when I did that one, I used Lightroom and Photoshop because I did
Hmm.
like an overlay. Because I know on this particular picture, I wanted it to, how the old '80s horror movies layout they looked. I tried to capture that in this picture, like it come from like you would see it on the VHS, the
Right.
back of the VHS. So that's all I could see in my head was, okay, this is how I want it to look. I wanted to get that really, really '80s feel with that red over it. So I know with this one, I manipulated with Lightroom and Photoshop on this picture.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that looked really cool there. And I think this is the last one I've got up here. That looks to be is that kind of like the creeper from Cheapers Creepers?
It is, yeah, yeah. Um, we went to it's a local haunt, and he said, "Hey, I know this place that has a school bus. that has all these that we could use in the shoot. I'm like, that's awesome because it had like an old ambulance and then the school bus because it ties into Jeepers Creepers too. I'm
Hmm.
like, that's perfect. So that's where we did that shoot was at a local haunt in the school bus.
Now, where do they get like a lot of these like costumes and whatnot? Is that stuff you got, or you just find these people and they just happen to have these costumes and the makeup and
They do. Yeah, they have all of this, their costumes, and that last one you seen, he modeled a few of my other ones, one of my Freddy Krueger ones too, and he had to order his own line because he orders the high quality latex. I believe it's latex. I believe I
Mhm.
could be wrong, but just the good stuff.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah,
he,
that's cool because that's like kind of half of it there is getting them to get the right look and then you taking the right photos of them and getting all that.
it
Looks like
is.
Berber Ann in the chat says hi to Brandy. So, Brandy, if you want to say hi to Berber Ann, she's
Ah,
also on Slasher. So, um,
hello.
so far you've got. I know you're on Slasher as Lost Souls 82, but you also have a Facebook page as well. I believe it's called
Mhm.
Brandy Hancock Photography as well. So those are like
I
two places
do.
people can find you then.
Hmm.
And do you plan on? I mean, do you have like any goals you want to set as far as with this photography, or is it just mainly kind of a hobby for you right now?
Right now, when I first started, I wanted it to be career wise, and then I
Hmm.
learned, it takes a while building up your clientele with photography. That's getting a specific audience you want, and with horror photography.
Yeah.
But usually this month, the months getting closer to Halloween, it's like my busiest. I've been
I'm Okay, you
there.
kind
You
of
are.
there. I guess we both broke up there for a little bit, but you were saying that Halloween's kind of like your busiest time of the year right now.
It is. It really is. Usually going into September and the months I get just back to back shoots. So, but I believe in right now to me it's a window. I go and I enjoy it. I love doing it. So,
Hmm.
because right now I do work a full time job and going to school and making time for pictures. So I have a full plate, but I love
Yeah,
my
yeah.
pictures.
Oh, I know how that. Yeah, I know that. I think. Yeah, I work full time too, plus
Hmm.
everything else I got going on. So, I'm trying to think here. Is there would there be? I mean, if there was like something you haven't shot yet, what kind of characters would you like to shoot in the future? That you are you constantly thinking, boy, if I get someone to dress up like this and shoot that, or anything you'd like to do in the future that you haven't done already?
I think about that. I think about that all the time. Like, okay, what character could I do, or not just character, but like just a just not odd, just different, And I have this one that I have had stuck in my head for a while now. I'm hoping to get to do it eventually because it would be just one of those just creepy vibe pictures, no
Hmm.
gore, fake blood, nothing like that. It's just kind of eerie. I love those kind of pictures of that, just eerie. So
Kind of like
I have a
something like
few.
from something like the I forget what the character's name, but off that movie Sinister,
Oh
something like
gosh,
that.
yeah,
That would be
that
creepy.
was good. Yeah, yeah, that was good.
Now,
Yeah.
I remember, I know, like in your bio, that you're pretty much an '80s horror fan. So,
Mm.
I'm guessing we're probably, possibly in the same age range or so. But
Mhm.
all right, what was, first of all, what was the first horror movie that kind of got you hooked into horror? You said it was as a little kid. So, what was that
Yeah, the
movie?
first one I watched was actually I was with my mom. We were at her friend's house. It was Pet Cemetery. Like for all the movies, It was Pet Cemetery, and that movie really scared me. That was the first movie I remember, horror movie watching, that really, really scared me. And I love going to conventions, horror
Hmm.
conventions, seeing actors and all. And they were there at Scarefest in Kentucky one year. The panel to Pet Cemetery. I just kept walking by. I'm like, I'm not going to stop at this table because that little boy Gage, he still looks the same but older. I'm like, mm-mm.
I had met him too. At a horror convention earlier this year. The day I
Yeah.
got the days of the dead at Vegas, and my wife got his autograph. I can't remember now his name, but yeah, he was there from there. I just watched Pet Cemetery a few weeks ago. Yeah, about a
Mhm.
month ago. I was revisiting, watching that, and I was like, boy, those parents were just the dumbest parents in the world. How do you not keep an
I
eye
mean,
on a toddler running around? It's like, oh, where's Gage at? Well, duh. It's like, do you not know what a
exactly.
playpen is? I know it was 1989, but I'm pretty sure they had playpens back there,
Mhm.
or a leash. I don't.
Exactly, a homemade leash, rope, or just something that'll keep them. Especially knowing there's highway traffic, them trucks speeding on that road anyway, you know?
They were even warned. Fred Gwynn warned them. You gotta watch this highway. Them damn truckers go through here all the time. No, just let them run around. Oh, where's he? Oh no, he's going up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, bad
exactly.
parenting all the way around. I just couldn't stand that.
Mhm.
No, but it's a
Mhm.
great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, it is, but that was the first that really, really that scared me. I remember it really sticks out. Mhm.
So when we talk about 80s horror and that they're mostly known for all kinds, you know, it was like just the huge boom in horror kind of started in the 70s but just blew up in the 80s. What are some of your other favorite horror movies from the 80s?
Oh, goodness. I would have to say probably I like the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I like that one. The first was my favorite. I didn't care for the rest of them. I love Robert England, but I think the first one I really love. The Friday the 13th, I love all those. Oh, it's so hard. I love the evil. I believe it's Evil Dead. Was it in the 80s, 90s?
Yeah, definitely. The first two were in the
Mm-hmm.
80s, and then Army of Darkness came out in 92. Brand just said all horror movies have bad parents. Yeah, for the most part, you're probably right. I don't
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't know. Roy Scheider's character, Chief Brody in Jaws, was seemed like a good parent, but that's probably the exception to the rule. But anyhow,
True. But yeah, probably those movies. I really like those.
yeah. And the good thing about Evil Dead is, they've only made, I think, if I'm math's correct, only a total of 5 Evil Dead movies have really ever been made. I'm not counting like any of the TV shows, and all
Yeah.
5 of them are good. I don't think they've made a bad movie in that series, which maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's the secret. Don't make 15 of them or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll say that too. Friday the 13th, there's only really out of that series, and it was just
Mhm.
about a little over a month ago, right before, because we had a Friday the 13th last month. We did me and guest did like a whole series discussion on it, and there's really only maybe 2 movies out of that whole series that I don't really ever rewatch, and that's Manhattan and
Yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell are the only two that I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to watch those again. But the rest of them though are all enjoyable on various levels. I think Chapter 4 is my favorite out of the bunch. How about yours?
I would I think the second one. I like the second one. I like the second one.
Sackhead Jason.
Mhm. I like the second one.
I will say I think 2 has the best final girl out of the series. The
Mhm.
character Jenny, just because I like the whole angle that she's a psychology student and she tries to use that to kind of outwit Jason a little bit for as long as she can until he realizes, oh, you're not my mother. I'm coming after you anyway. But
Mhm.
yeah, that was yeah, I like the Friday series too. And Nightmare, I'm kind of with you. I liked the first one really well. The
Mhm.
second one, it's okay.
Mhm.
Third one I really like. That's easily my second favorite, and then after that, kind of goes, yeah, kind of goes downhill a little bit. Four's okay. I think
Mm.
the New Nightmare was kind of an interesting way they did that one, but only
Yeah.
because they brought Heather Langenkamp back for that, so that was kind of cool. So maybe that's why I kind of like that one. But
Oh, yeah. Oh, and, Poltergeist. I loved Poltergeist. That was a good one. I loved Poltergeist.
that was like a good one because that one was like rated. If I'm not mistaken, that came out before they came out with PG-13, so that movie was actually rated PG, if you can believe that, which is probably one of those movies that the reason why they came out with a PG-13 rating. That one and Gremlins, I think, were like those both came out, I think, about the same year or so. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's been a long time since I've seen that one. Um, so have you like seen? Are there like any newer horror movies that you've liked or seen recently that have come out?
Um, actually, oh gosh, yes, and I can't think the name of it, but the kill scenes is I've never seen kill scenes in a movie. It's this killer who they took the necklace out of the woods, and it was his mother's necklace, and it brought him up from the ground, and he went after these teenagers. And at one point, he was wearing an old a fireman helmet kind of thing,
Okay.
and just the kill scenes, I was like, oh my gosh. Like I had to not look at like I had never seen kill scenes like that. And I cannot he walks around a lot in the movie.
Okay,
Um
I think I know the one you're talking about. I haven't seen it either, but I think it's what's that called?
I cannot
Lo-
think of it.
no, not Walk in the Woods. Berber Ann might chime in if you know what we're talking about. I know there's like a lot of walk. Is it taken from the perspective of the
Yes,
killer? I
it
think.
is.
Yeah.
It is. And I tell you, those kill scenes, one of those kill scenes, I was like, oh, I've never seen this before. That's messed up.
And I haven't seen that one yet. Let me look. I'm gonna Google this here and find out real quick. Let's
Yeah, it was something. I wish
see.
they would make more like supernatural horror movies, like the Conjuring, the first Conjuring. I love the supernatural aspect of the horror movies. I wish they had more of those.
They kind of do. They just don't get really talked about. I haven't really watched that. I know there's been like I was just talking about earlier before you logged in. I saw the movie Stream, um, which was released in the theaters for like just a weekend and wasn't released near me, so it finally came out on Amazon. I mean, it's still available for purchase, but I went ahead and bought it
Mhm.
anyway because it had a really good cast, and that was really good. But that's like your a typical slasher film. But
Yeah.
um, and have you seen? Oh, what was the one here? And I did see Maxine a few months ago when that came out, part of the whole X trilogy. I'm gonna find out what that movie was that we're talking about. Uh, Late night. Oh, here we go. It was In a Violent Nature.
That's it. That's it.
That's
Yep.
it.
It was definitely violent. That yeah.
It's what I'm gonna watch. It's just like during this time of the year, I'm normally binge watching all my very favorites, and
Mhm.
then when Halloween's done and over with, speaking of another slash, I'll be watching probably like a whole Halloween marathon on Halloween Day. But then after that, I'm gonna go back and revisit some of the movies I haven't seen
Oh yeah.
yet for this year. And another one was Late Night with the Devil. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's kind of got a supernatural element to it, and I think you'd like that one.
Man, I think I have seen that one. I
Yeah,
think my husband and I watched that one. I believe so. Mm.
yeah, that was one. Even my wife liked that one, so because she kind of
Mhm.
like normally likes just kind of your normal mainstream horror movies, whereas
Yeah.
I will get down and into a lot of the more obscure stuff. But anyhow, but
Mhm.
Now I got
That's
my
not
son, like, into that stuff now too,
fair.
corrupting him.
Yes. Look, my daughter's the same. She loves watching the horror movies. So, and like you said, this time of year, I love watching just binge watching the AMC. They show that the marathon of the older movies and all, and
Mhm. Oh,
I
yeah.
love watching that.
I'm like after later on, and I'm going over a friend's house who he's a little younger. He's like in his 30s, so he hasn't seen everything. He's been deprived, and over the course of the year, I've been like schooling him. I've like he never saw John Carpenter's The Thing, so he's seen that. He never saw the first two Hellraiser movies, so he's seen
Oh
those
my
now.
goodness.
He's been wanting to see some of the old Christopher Lee Dracula movies, so I happen to have
Mhm.
a mini Blu-ray set of that, so going to be watching those later tonight. So,
See, that's awesome. I actually watched the thing today. I was watching that, and I was thinking,
mhm.
man, those effects back then, those were pretty good. Watching the thing, those were like awesome.
Yeah, we're talking about a movie that happened over 40 years ago, and the
Mhm.
the practical effects still hold up
They
even
do.
today easily, and
Yeah.
it's better than anything you might see today. And
Mhm.
a few weeks ago, me and a couple other guests, we were talking about the Hellraiser franchise and how awesome those practical effects, particularly in the first one, really hold up to compared to today. They just
They do. Yeah. Ex
like wonder what do they do without CGI? Well, this is what they did back then.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, watching that thing again today, like, man, those graphics were just awesome back so long ago, especially with the head.
Hmm.
That was just like
Mm.
I love that part. That was
And
fantastic.
that's a scene that's been parodied quite a few times in other movies. I remember there was a scene in The Faculty that happened where the girl's
Yeah.
head grows up and one of the people go, "You gotta be fucking with me," or whatever he said
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
And then you see it again in It Chapter 2 when Stan's head, or I think it was Stan's character's head, he's crawling around there and Richie's like saying, "You gotta be fucking shitting me." They've parodied that scene so many times in other horror movies. So just kind
Mhm.
of a nod, I guess, to that
Yeah.
movie for sure. Um, so were you probably also into a lot of the you mentioned Pet Cemetery, were some of the other Stephen King movies, particularly those that have that supernatural element you've been fans of?
Oh, yeah. I do. I've liked, I like the original It. I
Hmm.
do. The new one is good too. I was really iffy when I first heard they were remaking it. I'm like, "Oh, Tim Curry did so good. That's just like I don't know how that's gonna turn out." But I love the newer It. But the older one, just I don't know. Stephen King, I think he's a genius. I agree.
A
I
sick,
mean, I'm not
evil
kind of
genius at that, but yeah. I I agree. You know what? I actually liked. You know, I think it's unfair to compare the miniseries with the movies just because you're talking about something that was made for television on CBS or whatever network it came out on. So they were kind of limited on what they could do. And the
Mhm.
movies are obviously different because an R-rated movie being released in theater, they could be a lot more gorier and a lot more
Oh, yeah.
scarier than they could have been. So I think it's unfair to compare the two. I think both Skarsgård and way I look at it, trying to compare Tim Curry with Bill Skarsgård, it's almost like comparing Jack Nicholson's Joker with Heath Ledger's Joker. Kind of,
Gosh.
it's just two
Yeah.
different things playing its same character but in a different way, and they both did it
Mhm.
brilliantly. I thought so.
Exactly, exactly. Yes. Mhm.
Um, but were you a fan of The Shining?
I did like The Shining. I liked it, but it was one that I could just watch maybe a few times and just be okay with
Hmm.
it. But I did like it though.
Yeah, or I don't know if she's still on, but she practically lives there in Colorado, and I
Oh,
think she
wow.
goes every other. I think she actually lives at the hotel, but she won't say. Yeah, Ray, if you're still on there, because you like dress up like I forget the character's name you like to dress up as, but huge Shining fan. She'll chime in if she is still on. I don't know if she is or not, but I have to give you shit there. But anyhow, yeah.
That's
Was and
funny.
speaking of Tim Curry, that movie I mentioned, Stream, he has a very, very small cameo in an end credit scene in that movie, which is kind of cool to see. He's like in disguise, but
Yeah.
it's him, that type of thing. Because yeah,
Yes. He was a good actor. He really was.
oh
He
yeah,
did so good in that movie. Well, that yeah, the original it. He Pennywise. He did so good.
Roger. That's the character Burbank likes to dress up as. Roger. I can't imagine why. A reflection of your personality, perhaps. That's the great thing about slasher. Once you start getting to know people, it's like a dysfunctional family. We're always throwing shit at each other. But anyhow,
I love it.
yeah. I'm like trying to think some other great 80s. I mean, we go in the 80s into the 90s.
Mhm.
90s kind of like tailed off a little bit. Then, were you ever a big fan of Scream?
Uh,
It's okay if you don't, because I'm not either. I'm just kind of
yeah,
curious if you were big into that.
not a whole lot. Like I liked the first one. It was okay, but I wasn't like a big Scream fan. I really wasn't.
It wasn't either. I remember, I think it's because I think if that was like your first horror series that you were introduced to at that
Mhm.
time, I could see that being a big thing. But at that point, I'm like already through all the heavy stuff. So this was like, oh, that's cute, whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that people love it and the fans of it, obviously, and they're still, I think they're going to make another movie. First they weren't going to, then now I guess they are going to do another
Oh
one.
my
But
goodness.
that's why I hope. I mean, I'm kind of glad. I don't know if you've seen the. I haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet, but and I'm okay with those movies. But I
Mhm.
do think it's awesome that it's got the fandom because it was like number one in the box office last weekend. And I
Really?
think when you have that type of movie that's probably
Yeah.
made, they probably made it for less than maybe $5 million, probably, and just this overly gruesome movie kicks the shit out of the Joker 2 or whatever came out. I think that's awesome. So
Yes. Yeah, I haven't seen the Terrifier 3. Like, I've heard about it, but I have not seen it yet, though.
yeah, I've heard, by and large, I've heard good things. There's a few people. I think one person I saw on. I was a teenager when all those movies came home. Okay, Final Destination movies. That was her movies of the '90s, I think.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, I could see you liking those for sure. Oh, I can do that. Ah, there we go. Now I'm still learning how to do this stuff.
Yeah, I still have
Okay.
issues with log trucks.
Well, and that's the thing, for a while there when I've been doing these type of videos since earlier this year, and for a while I was just like recording them and then releasing them, and then finally said, I don't really do any editing on these things. It's just people talking, so I'm just gonna start putting them out on live stream and see if anyone pops in and watches them, and because they're still gonna be on
Exactly.
YouTube regardless, whether they watch them live or after the fact. So I just
Mhm.
decided to do it this way because it was just why not? But yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, um, yeah, '90s. I'm trying to like think. Lost my train of thought here, but was there anything? What's that supposed to mean? I don't know. Oh, that you're crazy. That's what it means, Berber Ann. Putting that on there. Crazy like the rest of us. But yeah, excellent. So what? Let's put it this way: if you got a chance to, would you obviously in the photography part
Mhm.
of horror? Would you ever like want to like be a part of like making an old homemade movie, maybe like filming like a homemade horror movie or something like that.
Yes, that would I think that would be really cool. Actually, I think it was, gosh, maybe 5 years ago, the Chattanooga filmmakers group.
Hmm.
They were doing like a homemade movie, and they asked me to come in and do their pictures while they were doing that. And I thought that was really cool. Um, but I think stuff like that it would be fun. But
Yeah, even if it never sees the light of day, I wouldn't mind doing something
mm,
like that. And I'd probably would just, if I wrote it, I would probably just write my character in real quick, get killed off in the first 5 minutes or whatever, and be done with that. So I could just
mhm.
not have to do any real work. So
Oh,
just
exactly. Yeah, I had fun. I don't know. When I do pictures, it takes me like, okay, I have it like a character. Now I just got to find the perfect location, because like I said, I want it to be like as real as possible. So
right,
it's a lot trying to make it all fit into place of where I want, not trying to be like picky, but it's like, look, I grew up with these movies,
right.
I want them to fit perfectly. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre shoot I did, the Leatherface, my buddy, he had, I believe it was one of his family members had a house nearby, and it looked almost exactly like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. And it just was,
Wow.
I was like, how perfect is this, So it takes a little bit of time once I get a shoot trying to get everything in place.
It's cool if they would be like doing some like maybe I don't know if like where you live they have like any old cat. I don't know. I've been forever since I've been in Alabama. If they have like any old castles. If you found like an old castle, you could do some really
That would
cool
be
like
awesome. Yeah.
vampire werewolf shoots or something like that.
Mhm.
That would be really cool. Or find someone to
That
dress up like probably
yeah.
find someone to dress up like Elvira or something like that from a
See,
castle would be cool.
that would be awesome. That would be really, really awesome. I don't think we have any castles around here, though. That's sad. That's
There
sad. I've
and
never been
none
in
that
a castle.
I live in the high plains of West Texas, and I'm pretty sure we don't have any up here. We're gonna have to go up to Colorado and do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kidnap Berber Ann. She'll find us a castle and
Yeah,
dress
that
up
I
like
wish they did.
Roger.
Yeah, that would be neat. That would be neat, though.
Excellent. So, so have you gone to like any horror cons before? I think they have a
Mhm.
few smaller ones in Alabama. I think, 'cause I think I heard of one coming up there. I don't know if you've gone to any in that area. I guess the next closest would be Atlanta, but
Yeah, I know they have some. Well, I've been to a couple in Scarefest in Kentucky. Those were fun.
okay.
I love those. And they have they have some conventions in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But
Hmm.
it's mostly like just horror based. One year, I was able to do pictures for a convention. They asked me, but it was like a horror themed convention at that one. So they asked me if I could
Okay.
do the pictures for it. So that was pretty fun. Um, but typically not a whole lot of like just specifically horror conventions. The Scarefest was awesome.
I bet I've heard good things about that. I think that's actually going on now this weekend, and I hear that's a
Oh
pretty good one to
yes,
go to. I think that's in
I would.
Lexington, Kentucky, I think, or is it
Yeah,
Louisville?
yeah. I
Lexington.
think yeah, Lexington. Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed those.
I've only been to two so far. I one of those things I just got laid into as far as going to them. My son and I went to one in Denver last year, and then my wife and I went to one in Las Vegas earlier this year. So I'm not sure. Try to make it to one a year if I can. So I'm not sure which one I'll
Mhm.
go to next year. I'd like to go back to Denver depending on the lineup, or I might go to the one in Dallas perhaps. See, I'm like one if Doug Bradley plays Pinhead, if he's at one of these, I'll be there for sure because that's like on my bucket list of people to meet. So
Yes. Now Doug, he's the smaller guy, right? With Pinhead, the character.
No, he's the tall. He's Pinhead himself
Okay. Because I know
from.
that I know when I did pictures at the convention in Chattanooga, they had the Pinhead character there.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know if it was Doug. Did they just have one Pinhead?
Well,
Or
there
no,
has been
more
a
than one?
couple other actors that have played that character. In
Mhm.
fact, most recently, when they did the reboot a few years ago, they actually had a well, technically she was transgender, but they had a female
I
Pinhead for
remember
the last
that.
movie. But there's been a couple
Mhm.
other actors that have come in, but obviously, Doug Bradley is to that character what Robert Englund is to Freddy and
Mhm.
so forth. As far as
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes, I would say, or even Kane Hodder with Jason. Even though I think all the God made the mention. I think about everyone that's played Jason all did a great job with it. Just Kane played him the most for the most part in
Mhm.
those movies. So yeah, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
So if you into obviously you're in the photography part of it, you like watching movies. Have you done any reading of horror? Much into the books?
I I have to be honest and say no. Yes, I know. They always say the books are better, but I've never really like read up on books. Mainly just watched the movies.
Yeah. Well, I used
Mhm.
to. I mean, I was kind of like that way. I was mainly in movies and read a little bit, and of course, then all of a sudden I decided to write. So then I figured that it's weird. I read a lot more now since I started writing than I did beforehand. So it's like, but just because a movie takes 90 minutes and reading a book can take for quite a while. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool. That's cool. But way I look at it, you can't have a good movie without a good story. So someone has to start the
Uh,
train, so to speak.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Excellent. So,
Exactly.
I guess here, well, we've covered about everything here. Is there anything else you'd like to tell anyone that's watching right now?
Yeah, if I'll be doing a whole lot more pictures.
Mhm.
So if you want to see my work, I have a whole lot more displayed on my Facebook page. You're more than welcome to come give it a like, a follow. Actually, my next two shoots, photo shoots coming up, are I have two wedding shoots coming up. That's pretty funny. I
Okay,
got two
wedding
wedding
shoot.
shoots. uh,
Yeah, and I've already put your I think links to both your Facebook and Slasher account. Should be in the main video description, so they'll be out there if anyone wants to check her out. That's Brady Hancock photography on Facebook and Lost Souls 82 on Slasher. Are you on anywhere else? Are you on Instagram or anywhere else, or just those two?
I have Instagram. I usually do Facebook more, like I do on Instagram, but usually
Hmm.
I do Facebook a lot more.
Okay, but you are on Instagram as well too.
Mhm. I
Okay,
am. Mhm.
true. And he just finds you under Brandy Hancock then.
That's it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I think that's good for this evening, Brandy. Thanks for joining us tonight. For those of you
Yeah.
watching, next Saturday we will be doing, hopefully, we'll be doing the Halloween franchise discussion as we are getting ever so close to Halloween. So
That's
please tune in.
crazy. So it's Halloween. What?
I know it's already halfway through the month. Can you? It seemed like we were waiting forever for October to get here, and
Yes.
now it's
Yes.
just going by so fast. So,
Mhm.
so anyway,
Mhm.
and for those who are watching now or later, please like, share, and subscribe. And feel free to comment and ask us any questions, and I'll get back to you. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank y'all.